You ready? What's up, everybody? Appreciate you checking out the podcast. I'm Ethan Parker, CEO and founder at Takeover Media. I have Hayden Rankin here, my brother, business partner, and president and founder at Takeover Media. And this is a brand new Takeover Media podcast. If you are an e-commerce director, e-commerce founder, business owner, or B2B services providing agency type business, and you are interested in driving more sales to your online store or more leads for you or your salespeople to close and bring in more revenue, then you're in the right place. And that's really where all of this started. But, I was thinking, Hayden, when I was thinking about what we should cover today in this episode as our inaugural Takeover Media episode, because we do a lot of podcasts, We do a lot of streams and podcasts and talk about a lot of different things. But I think the most impactful thing that I've learned about and what's affected how I do business on a day-to-day throughout my entire life has been understanding what other people have gone through and how they resolved it, because there's always like very specific bits of information that apply there that sometimes just don't come through in a more generalized training on a topic. So recently, we had a new client get started, right? And these folks have been around for a good while. And what they were going through was they've worked with dozens of different agencies, freelancers, tried to do things in-house, and they've had years where they've made, good amounts of money, $7-10 million. And then they've seen that go down. COVID happened. They have an in-store component to their business, this particular one that I'm thinking about. So a lot of variables there, of course. But at the end of the day, they have considerable revenue coming through their online store, and they're not profitable. And so he came to us, looking for a solution there. And after digging in, I think the two most important things that I could share with everyone today that really helped us turn this around, because in the first 30 days of taking over, their marketing initiatives and efforts, we actually reduced the amount of money they were spending on paid advertising by 50%, while simultaneously increasing the number of subscriptions sold in that period by over 150%. It's not magic, and it's not even overly complicated, but it's just things when you don't know, you don't know. So two things that really stuck out to me in that is number one, and this is really common pretty much with every single person I speak to. If I were to ask you, or, well, maybe not you because we have the formula. But if I were to ask most people that come to me and they're looking to get more leads, looking to drive more online sales, I ask them about their customer. And they always start with, a decent answer. And that, we typically... it's high net worth individuals, people that are, they care about health and wellness. They a lot of them have kids. And then when I ask follow-up questions around, the audience's percentages of difference of male versus female, if they have any age demographics, if they found commonalities in other brands that, these customers also like and order from. And at the end of the day, you end up getting to a place where, we really can sell to everyone. And that's kind of how everyone feels. And even if that might be true, if you run your marketing strategy in that way we can sell to everyone, you're always going to pay a lot more money for conversions. Your email and SMS flows are not going to be as relevant. They're not going to convert as best. And you ultimately are leaving money on the table by going so broad. Now, there's a time and a place to go broad with things, but everything in your entire strategy of how you go to market should be very, very engineered for a specific customer in mind. And there's always a core set of customers who really make up our business. Always. There's always the 20% that drive 80% of the revenue. So let's hyper focus on optimizing every part of our journey, our website, the checkout flows, what's presented first, where, how we're following up people through what channels, what we're asking them to do, where are we leaving them directions on how to use our product, how are we generating reviews, how are we asking for referrals, every single detail with that 20% that's generating the 80% of revenue in mind. So that's number one, is just knowing your customer. And if you are running an online store, you have no excuse not to. There are a dime a dozen tools that you can use. If you're on Shopify, which is primarily where we play, they have some built-in Shopify native apps that you can install and start gathering more insight into who your customers are. These are nominal fees, $40 a month, $50 a month, $100 a month, depending on what platform you go with, that are going to more than 10x that investment in just a short amount of time with what you can do with that information. So know who your customer is and align all of your strategy, not just product descriptions, follow-ups, but also like what type of content are you posting, in what frequency, in what channel, in what ways. Some people like to listen, some people like to watch. What does your customers like? What does your audience do? Do they listen to podcasts? Do they watch videos on YouTube? Like, what are they doing? You need to figure that out. The second really big thing is there was no SMS strategy in this particular business. They had a pretty good email list when we jumped in. I think like 40, 50,000, 50,000, something like that. A pretty good email list. An active email list, opening emails, clicking, making purchases. Could have been better. Yes, we made it better, but it was a good base. But absolutely no plan, strategy, or thought process around SMS. SMS is one of the most powerful tools for e-commerce stores. It usually drives more conversions than almost any other channel. And so what we immediately worked on was implementing a more holistic SMS strategy. So obviously step one is we need to incentivize like initial visitors to, give us a phone number. So I always try to train clients to think of currency in two ways. So the first form of currency is information, and the second form of currency is dollars. To get the first form of currency, which is information, we want to know how long it takes for someone to hit our site, click an ad, see a social post, and then actually give the information. What is that average time, and what sources did it come from? So you need analytics to break this down. I particularly like Segmetrics. That's what I use. So how long does it take to do that? And then once we have their information, what is the average amount of time between someone giving us their information and someone making a purchase on our online store? And then when we think about that, is how do we then leverage SMS as a channel to make that happen faster, to provide the touch points at the right time that is optimized for conversion. So obviously step one is just collecting the SMS. And my best practice here that you should be doing is a two-step opt-in for your website of, hey, get a discount code, give us your email. You should have a second step that is asking for SMS and provide them something additional. We tested a lot of things for this particular client, and we just simply doubled the offer. So $5 off and then an additional $5 for SMS, and we saw a pretty good conversion on both steps. I'm continually testing these things, though. You should always be A/B testing. If you're running SendLane, Klaviyo, they all have built-in A/B testing functionality that's very simple to use. Use it. Secondly, a lot of brands that we typically work with have a pretty good social media following. Instagram, Facebook, maybe both, one or the other. But when you have a lot of followers and they're engaged followers and they're engaging with you on these social platforms, you don't own that data. You have nothing else but just a profile, and you really don't know a whole lot more about this person, and you have no other way to engage that person. So one of my like hard-hitting, fast result producing tactics we always implement is how do we get these people off of this channel and into our email and SMS flows so that we can then drive more revenue from our social media accounts. So this feeds into another topic around social media that I just quite frankly don't have time to cover today. But if you only measure how many people click a link on a social media post directly, they click this, they bought, and that is your measurement of ROI, there will probably be very few brands in the existence of humankind that will ever make on paper sense to put any sort of effort into social media. So if that's how you're thinking about it, you're wrong. And if you're thinking about it on the latter, which is, well, we just got to have it, so we post stuff up, and that's really all we do, you're also leaving shit tons of money on the table. So one of my favorite products is called High Tide. What that does is allow you to set up flows and campaigns that take it beyond just, hey, go to our website and give us your email and get this. It actually will allow you to engage in an automated way with your most engaged followers. So people comment on your videos, whether it be ads, organic, they drop you likes, they do things, they interact with your stories. You can somewhat set like automatic flows that reach out to them in the DMs of that channel that they're talking about to extend an offer to them in order to get their SMS. Get their phone number for SMS list or email for email list. So if you have a good social following, you're not taking care of it, you're not getting these people off of that channel, that is one of the best things you can do is think about a holistic strategy to get these people off of these platforms and into another channel. It also will increase the effectiveness of both, again, which is the theme that you're going to hear about here. So, all that said, I got to jump, Hayden. But what this did was inspire us to put together a free live training where I'm going to go in depth into these two topics and more around email and SMS. I'm going to expand on this even more. But I'm going to go top to bottom, and I'm going to cover understanding your target audience, which includes creating feedback loops. So we actually get real, tangible feedback from our customers about what they like, what they don't, and what other things they're involved in. What other brands do they like when they purchase? What media do they consume? Tons of stuff there. Of course, optimizing your website for conversions. So obviously the user experience and that journey. We're going to talk about enhancing product pages, streamlining the checkout process, and more. Leveraging social media. So that means, strategically using the right channels in the right way, the right content. All content is not created equal and should not just be mass blasted across all of your channels. And also some of them may not make sense for you. We're going to talk about all those things. Of course, effective email and SMS marketing tactics, including some of the ones I shared today, and going in deeper on some other things like the basic flows and the top performing flows that I've seen used with e-commerce brands. Content marketing strategies. So I know when I talk about social media and content, everybody starts freaking out about how they're going to create all of this. We also are going to cover in that training is how to create that flywheel where you can continue to crank out world-class content in a very consistent and scalable way. I'm going to cover affiliates, influencers, and partners, often a super underlooked aspect of your e-com business, or it's just kind of an afterthought. We need to make it a priority. I'm going to tell you more about how to do that. And then lastly, measuring results and iterating. So we need to have metrics we've established. What are we measuring? For how long? What is the hypothesis? What is deemed as successful? What is deemed as unsuccessful? And what is the plan to pivot if it wasn't successful? So all this and more is going to be on July 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find the link in the show notes here to get registered for that. There's also a guide that you can download to start getting a head start, look through. I am going to open up the floor for Q&A during the training, so I'm going to actually give one-to-one feedback on specific questions, so bring those. I'm obviously not going to be able to cover them all, but I will get to as many as I possibly can. And if for some reason Netflix is more important to you at 7 p.m. on a Monday night, we will share this recording with you as long as you go register. So hit the link in the show notes. Give us a subscribe here, follow us here. We're going to be doing more things like this, and we'd love to hear your feedback. If you have some things you'd like to hear us jam on in future episodes, you can just shoot me an email directly, ethan@takeovermedia.co, and we will consider it. No promises. Cheers, folks.